black trash bag sat on the side of a rural Georgia road, burning. Inside were human remains. No hands, no feet, no head. Whoever did it had tried to erase her completely. For 17 years, she didn't even have a name. And the woman who investigators now believe killed her kept living under her identity. If you're drawn to stories where justice takes years, sometimes decades, to find its way back to the truth, you're in the right place. This case only gets more disturbing the deeper you go. So subscribe and stay with me, because Nicole Alston's story deserves to be remembered. Let's start at the beginning. Nicole Alston was 24 years old in 2007. Her mother, Sylvia, describes her as bubbly, the kind of person whose smile could light up a room. She loved Beyoncé. She loved Tweety Bird. She was artistic, always sketching, always creating. Nicole also had dyslexia. She sometimes needed help navigating paperwork, directions, complicated systems. She trusted easily, relied deeply on the people close to her, and in 2007, one of those people was Angel Marie Thompson. Nicole was living in Manhattan, young, starting her adult life, dreaming of something more. Angel was her girlfriend. Investigators would later learn that Angel was already wanted in New York at the time, facing alleged theft and identity fraud charges. But Nicole believed in her. According to her family, an Angel convinced Nicole to leave New York and move to Atlanta. A fresh start, a new chapter. Sylvia remembers her daughter saying she would be okay, that Angel would help her. That was the last time her mother heard her voice. December 6th, 2007. Whitfield Road and Stitcher Road, Troup County, Georgia. A deputy responded to a call about a suspicious black bag burning along the roadside. When officers arrived, the bag was still smoldering. Inside were partial human remains. The head was gone. The hands were gone. The feet were gone. 13 pieces of a body. Investigators immediately knew this wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate. The removal of hands and head meant fingerprints and dental records were useless. Without a skull, no facial reconstruction. Without prints, no database hits. They entered the DNA into CODIS. Nothing came back. Because the victim had no criminal history, she became a Jane Doe. The years began to pass. Birthdays, Thanksgivings, Christmas mornings. Nicole's mother kept waiting for a call that never came. Sylvia traveled back to Georgia multiple times over the years, trying to trace her daughter's steps, filing reports, asking questions, hoping for something, anything. But without a name attached to the remains, law enforcement had no starting point. And without remains tied to Nicole, her disappearance floated in limbo. The case went cold. But in 2023, 16 years later, something changed. The Troup County Sheriff's Office began reviewing cold cases, among them the unidentified remains from 2007. They sent preserved DNA to Innovative Forensic Investigations in Virginia and Gene by Gene Laboratories in Texas for advanced genetic genealogy testing. This wasn't standard CODIS matching. This was family tree tracing. The labs built a genetic profile, compared it to public genealogy databases, and looked for distant relatives, and then a lead. The results were sent to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab for confirmation. December 13th, 2023, investigators received word. The remains belonged to 24-year-old Nicole Alston. After 17 years, she finally had her name back. Investigator Clay Bryant later said the DNA match got the ball rolling. Now they had a victim. Now they could ask, who was she with? Where had she gone? Who last saw her alive? When detectives contacted Nicole's family, a picture began forming. Nicole had left New York with Angel Thompson in late 2007. The last time her family heard from her was around Thanksgiving. 10 days before she vanished, Nicole had told her mother something troubling. She said Angel had become abusive. She wanted to come home, but she said she had it under control. That was the final call. And here's where the story turns. Because while Nicole's body lay unidentified in an evidence room, someone else was living her life. Investigators discovered that after the remains were found in December 2007, Angel Thompson began identifying herself as Nicole Alston, not casually, not briefly, systematically, for nearly 8 years. She collected supplemental security income benefits under Nicole's name. She received food stamp allotments. She secured Section 8 housing, the estimated total, around $200,000. Right in 2010, when it was time to renew Nicole's driver's license, Angel allegedly did exactly that, using Nicole's biographical information, but updating the photo to her own face. She opened email accounts, bank accounts, maintained communication with Social Security and HUD. According to investigators, she legitimately lived as Nicole Alston. And the night Nicole's body was discovered, authorities say Angel was already back on dating websites, searching for new relationships. Less than a month later, she was allegedly trying to rent out their shared apartment, trying to sell their car. Investigators described the behavior as calculated. In 2015, the Social Security Administration contacted Nicole Alston to requalify for benefits in person. That's when the identity shifted again. Angel resumed using her real name, and the fraud stopped. But the murder? Still unsolved. August 19th, 2024. Angel Marie Thompson was arrested and charged with concealing the death of Nicole Alston. At that point, authorities had not publicly charged anyone with murder, but the investigation continued. And then came the indictment. A Fulton County grand jury returned an 80-count indictment against Angel Thompson. Charges included malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, concealing a death, dozens of fraud and identity theft counts. Her arrest warrant alleged Nicole was killed by homicidal violence by undetermined means, involving violence to her throat or head. Investigators believe Nicole wanted to return to New York, but Angel couldn't, because of outstanding warrants there. According to the warrant, investigators believe Angel may not have wanted to lose financial support, so Nicole was murdered, and her identity was taken. A district attorney, Fonnie Willis, later stated the indictment would also involve human trafficking allegations, saying they believe Nicole was trafficked prior to her murder. Authorities asked the public for information about the couple's residence in 2007, then called Genesis Gardens on Cascade Palmetto Highway. They believe others may have been victimized. At a press conference, Nicole's mother stood before reporters. She said she never stopped looking. Not hearing from her daughter on Christmas, on birthdays. That wasn't Nicole. She didn't deserve this, she said. I wish I'd never let her come to Georgia. She described her daughter as the life of the party. Happy, infectious smile, always the one people called when they needed someone to talk to. And now, after nearly 2 decades, she finally had an answer. Not closure, but truth. Investigator Bryant said there's no such thing as closure. There are still birthdays and still holidays, but families deserve finality. They deserve the truth. Angel Thompson remains in custody in Fulton County Jail. The case is now before the Fulton County Superior Court. The full prosecution is still unfolding, and prosecutors say they are taking their time to build it correctly. For 17 years, Nicole Alston was known only as a body in a burning bag. No name, no history, no story. But she was a daughter, an artist, a young woman who trusted the wrong person. And even after her death, someone tried to erase her by cutting away the parts that identify us, and then wearing her life like a disguise. In the end, it wasn't fingerprints. It wasn't dental records. It was science and persistence and a mother who never stopped searching. If stories like Nicole's matter to you, stories of victims who were almost forgotten, subscribe and stay with us. This channel exists to remember them properly, and I want to ask you something. What moment in this case unsettled you the most? Was it the burning bag on that rural road? Or the 8 years someone lived under her name? Tell me in the comments, because Nicole Alston deserves to be talked about and remembered.